Welcome back, everybody. Let's have a little look at these charts then, shall we? Just very briefly, and Merry Christmas to everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you've probably got a lot better things to do, so I'll just keep this brief. Basically, Bitcoin's in a very small trading range, tiny trading range that would be. It's having a little bit of a bounce at the moment, but I still think the overall direction is down. All my videos will explain why, but I still think that there is an opportunity for us to bounce still and move up towards this green 50, maybe get rejected from there, possibly, if not rejected from there, this cloud will also reject us, which actually, over the next few days, I imagine these will actually be exactly in the same place. This green 50 will be at the bottom line of this itchy cloud, and basically resistance central at that point. Actually, and that will also coincide with the top of the Bollinger Band on the daily. So there's an enormous resistance level around this price here of 7,650 ish, thereabouts, roughly around that area. So what does this really mean? We're going to be playing a range between the top of there and this area here, which is around basically 7,000. This is the bottom of the descending trend. It's also just almost exactly where the 10 simple is. There's quite a few things here to support us, but it's descending, and I would expect that eventually we're going to break down from there. Now, one thing I'm going to show you, I don't know if anyone ever looks at this, I don't have opportunity to say how valuable this information is, but on this website it tells you the overall longs versus shorts, and I've been looking at this. Actually, I only found this website a few weeks ago, and surprisingly, Bitfinex's longs have been enormously high, even back when before the dump to 6,600 it was high. I mean, ridiculously high. Look, it's 91, almost, you can call that 92% basically, of longs on there. Bitmax and longs shorts is pretty much equal. Binance is more to the short, but we're not talking big bucks here. This is small fry really. And the total basically says that the longs of Bitcoin are almost twice that, getting on for twice that of the shorts. But this has been like this since the dump that we had. So all that price action that we've seen, the movements up and down, especially the ones to the down, like this one, were caused while longs were extremely high, which, this is why I don't really rate this, but I've been told that it's, it does mean something, and I know I've heard of people speak about longs being at an all-time high. If that is the case, then that's quite concerning, because for whatever reason, if these longs drop off, then the dump that we will receive will be a lot harder and a lot faster than this one. Now, people were apparently a lot more invested in the longs than the shorts when this dump happened. So if you can imagine what would happen if, for whatever reason, these longs took profit, or they were stopped out, or for whatever reason, they were just liquidated for whatever reason, then you can imagine that this price action will just plummet, and this green candle here will actually sort of pale in significance when you see the size of the red candle that will be to follow. That's just a theory. I can't really trade on theory, but it would kind of coincide with my overall expectations that the direction of Bitcoin and the rest of the market are down. So I thought I'd just bring that to your attention. If someone can tell me that this is a pile of crap and not worth looking at, then feel free to do so. Don't just tell me it's crap, give me a reason why, just so I can understand it. I very much appreciate that. Join me on my Telegram if you want to, and educate me and everybody else on there, because we always need some more people on there with alternative skills. Anyway, we'll move on from Bitcoin, because like I say, I do believe our direction is down, but even if it isn't, we'll be playing around this range, no higher than around about 7,800. I'd be very surprised if we got above that level, but it is possible, but I very much doubt it. Expect a rejection from there, and basically come back down to the 6,600 and lower over time. Matic, we like to watch Matic on this channel. Matic has been in this little range here, and I say a little range, it's a very decent range for it to be sort of waving around in, but it's suffering with the rest of the market. The rest of the market has basically brought it back down. It might have actually tried to make a well, not a higher high, but an attempt to try and reach this green 50, but it hasn't done. It's not been able to do that because the market has basically been down these last few days, and dragging Matic down with it. I still expect this one to come down over time. I think this is going to be a slow burn down to that 1 cent level. I'd be surprised if it plummeted down. If we look at this chart here at the very beginning, we had some significant bounces, and it took us quite a while to actually make that final leg down. Even when we did, it took several weeks, over a period of about 6 weeks, to finally reach our bottom level here, which was around that 1 cent mark. Now I know that the sort of the green and the red are going to be emphasised more by the ability to margin trade this, but the reds are certainly going to be emphasised by the ability to short this now, and shorting it would be very profitable if you had those kind of balls to do it. Personally, I don't want to short or go long on Matic. It's too volatile to think about margin trading. But if for whatever reason the market did decide to destroy itself because of those, like I say, there's indiscrepancies in here, then yeah, I mean we could say that Matic is likely to go straight down close to 1 cent and a big red candle all the way down there. It's not out of the realms of possibility that it will happen faster than it did this time, because this time we sort of meandered our way down, but when it finally gave in, it just went down. I would expect that if it did do that sort of thing, it would be faster. But still, you know, I'm not talking immediate. I'm talking over the space of weeks to a month or so. We'll find our way down to that 1 cent level, bouncing it several times, but but not really making it. Ethereum again is bear central, and I believe that looking at this chart now, I do believe that we could be looking at making an all-time low of maybe the last 2 years or so before this parabolic move that took place over here. I do think that there is a chance that we could make a brand new low. That would be lower than $80. I think that's completely plausible, given what I'm expecting to happen with Bitcoin. So yeah, like I say, I mean, discount across the board. Black Friday sales on crypto could be around the corner. At the moment, there's nothing bearish. I mean, bullish about this boy. This guy looks bearish as hell, and it will continue to be bearish. Even this pump that it had, it didn't have any form of continuation, unlike Bitcoin, which managed to get up and above and make an extra leg up. Ethereum didn't, and Ethereum to me dictates the way that most alts will play, because it's one of the main competitors for Bitcoin and the Bitcoin dominance. And if Ethereum isn't, you know, participating in that race for dominance, it will significantly increase Bitcoin's dominance. And if Bitcoin is dominant and Bitcoin falls, and it falls significantly, and I think we've got another $1,000 or more to drop on Bitcoin before we end up bottoming. I think we could even find a $1,500 drop in Bitcoin before we bottom, or maybe even more. But I don't want to overstate anything really, but I do believe that the very low 6,000s are quite likely. So if we have a $1,000 drop in Bitcoin, that is quite a sizable retrace. Let's just measure that out just for a laugh. At the current price action that we're at right now, if we came down to around 6,100, it's 15% move down. If we had a 15% move down for Ethereum, from the price that we are right now, that would bring us down to 106, but that's not likely to happen. I think if Bitcoin went down 15%, I think we could probably be safely saying that Ethereum would be going down more, because Bitcoin is dominant, and Ethereum has proven itself to basically be giving up at this point. So we could be looking at a 25 to a 35% retracement for Ethereum, and that would look more like its all-time low, you know, just above that, around $81. So there you have it. These are my expectations of what's likely to happen. I do honestly believe that the bottom is definitely not in. I think we're coming back down. The way that this looks like to me is that, you know, we're making lower lows after this recent higher high. Very much reminds me of what happened here. We had one big giant wick up here, people got very excited. People were buying it, hoping for a continuation. They wouldn't give up. They just couldn't help themselves. Kept on putting money in. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And then after a couple of weeks, it just didn't happen. Everybody's money just got taken, and there we ended up back down here. We bounced from there. We had a nice bounce from there. We came back down here again. We had a nice bounce from there. We had a nice bounce, but then again, resting as support on the descending trend. I do believe very strongly that we will be supported on here in this descending movement, perhaps maybe trying our way above these to try and get into this cloud here, but be rejected from the amount of rejection points that we've got here are quite strong. We've got the 36, the 50, and the 200 exponential moving averages, plus this big, fat, juicy, descending red itchy cloud, which will prove to be a giant resistance for it, which is quite steep in its decline as well. By mid-January, I mean, we'll be down here at 7,000. By mid-January, we will definitely have come down to this level. We will have broken down by then. It could happen at any minute, but I think over the next few weeks, it's likely to have played out by then. Still quite early on in this little gap here, this little range, but it's not looking good to me. I think we've seen this kind of thing before, just recently, and I think that's what we're looking at now. I think we're looking at people trying to buy it back, and people, there's an opportunity that this might go bullish, but it doesn't look strong enough to me. And I think people, basically all that's happening is people are putting their money in, thinking that now is the time, like they did here. Now is the time for it to go, and it's not going to go. We'll have a few little runs here and there, and probably a few hunts on shorts and a few hunts on longs, and then it will just decide on what direction it's going to go. And to me, this direction is quite clear. It's going down, so that's where I stand on it. And on all these boys will go down with it, and they will go down significantly. Matic to eventually will be about 1 cent. Ethereum could quite easily be down to just above $80. I think that's the way it's going to play out, I'm afraid. So I hope that hasn't ruined your Christmas. But if you're in Tether like I've been in Tether since since the Matic top, really. So I've sold pretty much right at the top here, and I've not bought anything back since. And the reason for that is because I do see this direction as just going down. I'm perfectly happy to wait, and there's no reason for me to be bullish on any of these things, because there's no reason for it to be bullish. There's no indication that it's bullish. There's just indications of bearish. We were very lucky to catch that Matic bottom and top. Let's not waste that opportunity to find the next big thing, which is likely to be Bitcoin, but not for quite a while yet. Anyway, I will leave it with you there. I hope you have a nice Christmas, everybody, and take it easy.